Afternoon, a big crowd gathering at Turner Field for the third, final, and rubber game of our three-game series between the Atlanta Braves and the Chicago Cubs. Sunday Braves on Fox Sports South is brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. Make it a Hyundai Sunday every week on Fox Sports South. What a great weekend it's been. A great celebration of Braves baseball, a busy weekend, and a busy day today. The Atlanta Braves made several roster moves today. Tommy Hanson placed on the 15-day disabled list. Scott Linebrink activated. Brian McCann brought back from Gwinnett after his stint on the disabled list. And Anthony Varvaro optioned to Gwinnett. Chip Carey, Tom Glavine, Joe Simpson. Best news of all, Brian McCann is back and hitting third for the Braves today.
And it just deepens the lineup that much more, Chip. I mean, with Chipper coming back, and even though Chipper Jones is not in the lineup today, getting Brian back in there, 18 homers, 55 RBIs, it just moves everybody a little deeper in the order. And the way Alex Gonzalez is swinging the bat and Constanza's swinging the bat, that really gives the lineup, the Braves lineup, something that they didn't have before, and a very formidable lineup.
And Brian McCann now gets to handle Brandon Beachy, who tries to win the series for the Braves today.
Yeah, from a pitching standpoint, look, the Braves are fortunate that they don't have a big drop-off between their starting catcher and their backup catcher. David Ross does a fantastic job with those guys. But having said that, there's still a little bit more of a familiarity with Brian McCann being back there. They see him more often. He sees them more often. And, oh, by the way, to touch on what Joe said, psychologically for the starting pitchers, it's nice knowing that bat's back in the lineup.
Well, not a whole lot of familiarity with the hitters and the pitchers. Matt Garza pitching against the Braves for the first time. Brandon Beachy facing the Cubs for the first time. The series is on the line. Third, final, and rubber game of the series coming up. Lineups and first pitch after a break. Brought to you in part by Academy Sports and Outdoors, by AT&T, by Delta Airlines, and by Ford. A hot, breezy Sunday here at Turner Field for the series wrap-up between the Braves and the Chicago Cubs. Cubs rallied last night and beat Derek Lowe and the Braves 8-4 to even up the series. Cubs have won 3 series in a row, and Mike Quade presents this Suzuki starting lineup. The top of the order, Castro and Barney combined for 8 hits last night. That's a dynamic-looking middle infield combination. It'd be nice for Brandon Beachy to keep those guys off the base paths in front of Aramis Ramirez.
And for Brandon Beachy today, he's making his 18th start on the year, 5-2 with a 3.43 ERA. Very impressive walk to strikeout ratio. Coming off his last start in Florida, went 6 2 third innings, giving up 3 hits and 2 runs, and a no decision down there against the Marlins.
His 4 keys to pitching success are just what you talked about, Chip. The top 2 in the order. Got to try to keep Castro and Barney off the bases. And first pitch, this Cubs team has several guys in the lineup, including their number 3 hitter, Aramis Ramirez, who are classic first pitch fastball hitters. He's got to be aware of that.
So Starlin Castro ready to lead things off. Castro with 157 hits. He's on pace for 212 of them. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Brandon was outstanding in that start down in Florida, striking out 10 guys and everything really working off. Good fastball. It was as high as 95 at times.
Yeah, I got a chance to watch a little bit of that at home, and looked like like you said, Joe, his location really on all his pitches. But when he locates that fastball like that, it really makes that slider of his devastating, and he had all that going the other night.
Balls, 2 strikes. You know, Beachy's always fired up to pitch a major league game. He hails from Kokomo, Indiana. That's in the heart of Cubs country, so I'm sure friends and family are watching the game this afternoon back in the Midwest. And Castro right on that pitch, fouled it straight back.
I sure like what I've seen of Castro in this series. Hard not to when he's 5 for 10, making all the plays at shortstop. He's got 24 hits in his last 12 games overall, and they've really got something from Starlin Castro.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Just 72 strikeouts and 500 at bats too. That's a good sign. And if he can just cut down on his errors, and I'm sure he will as he gets a little bit older, be an all-star player.
Slow roller fouled at third. Good battle here. It'll take at least 8 pitches to retire the Cubs leadoff man, who's 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. Talking to some scouts, fellas, they think he may outgrow the shortstop position with his pop and with his lower half. Who knows, maybe he'll turn out to be their third baseman of the future. But certainly the shortstop of the present. And he'll have a seat. Good battle. Beachy strikes him out. 1 away.
There's that fastball that we've talked about where he's able to locate at that time with 2 strikes going up the ladder a little bit. And as every hitter will tell you, that pitch up there looks awfully good, but boy, is it hard to catch up to.
93 on that one too. That was the best fastball of that sequence.
Here's Darwin Barney, his first 4-hit game yesterday. He'd really been slumping before he got into the lineup in this series. He was 2 for 20 going into last night's play, went 4 for 5 and drove in a run.
It's not often that an opposing player who's slumping gets well against Atlanta pitching, but that was the case for Barney last night. Good to see Brian McCann back in there today. And really nice to know, after hearing about some of his swings down in Gwinnett, that, I mean, he had a home run down there, so he was taking full cuts and could cut it loose like that without fear of re-injuring himself. That's what had to happen.
And into left field, Darwin Barney has another hit. This one comes with one out in the first inning. And here is Ramirez. And Joe, is this one of the guys you worry about on the first pitch?
I would be. First pitch classic, first pitch fastball guy. I'd try to mix in something different.
Leads the majors with 10 first pitch home runs this year.
And 21 overall for the Cubs third baseman. And he swings at the first pitch. It'll stay in the park. And it rises out to right center, where Michael Bourne tracks it down. Barney back to first with 2 outs. The ball has really been carrying here at Turner Field the first 2 night games of this series.
Summertime, heat, humidity. Typically, this ballpark, it plays pretty fair in the spring. You know, there's always a little bit of an element of the ball traveling well down the line with those tunnels and how the wind kind of comes in and out through there. But in the summer heat, the ball tends to drive a little bit, carry a little bit more. So it'd be in your best interest to keep it down in the zone.
And the wind we have today pushing balls a little more out toward right field.
Barney at first, 2 outs for Carlos Peña, the Cubs first baseman. Braves have a modified defensive shift for him on the infield. Dan Uggla way out in the grass in right. Alex Gonzalez playing almost right behind the second base bag.
That's the way they used to play me, Tommy. Only that was the right fielder.
I didn't want to say anything, but it's a little bit more of the softball switch versus the overshift ground ball defense.
Yeah, even the outfielders would come in case they could cut a run off.
And that's into the seats, foul. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Braves are catching the Cubs at really their best baseball of the year. They've won 7 out of 10 and 10 out of 13 over the last 2 weeks. And it looks like somehow, some way, they're going to have to carry on without Carlos Zambrano for a while. I don't know how they'll do it.
I think they'll find a way.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Zambrano placed on the disqualified list yesterday after his temper tantrum here on Friday. 30 days without pay. Players Union is going to appeal that on Monday. But not a happy marriage between the Cubs and Carlos. Stop McCann, 3 balls and a strike.
I know the Players Association has a job to do, but I'd be very careful about how far you go to embarrass yourself in defending the guy.
How'd you like to be the Cubs players rep and have to make that case?
No, thank you. It's a dicey situation all the way around. It's unfortunate, you know, but crazy things happen.
Full count now, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Peña had a healthy cut. Talked with Mike Quaddy about it yesterday. The Cubs had not made a roster move to replace Zambrano. They're going to call up a kid from AAA, and he'll take Zambrano's next turn in rotation for Chicago. In fact, the Cubs go to Houston after this game and start a series with the Astros tomorrow. Runner goes, swing and a miss. And Beachy has his second strikeout of the ball game. Nothing doing for Chicago in the first. Here come the Braves in this series wrap up. Atlanta. And a nice one still filing in for the third game of the series. Braves and Cubs wrap it up. Here's how the Braves line up for Freddie Gonzalez. The Suzuki starting lineup. Plenty of speed at the top with Michael Bourne, and at the bottom with Jose Constanza. And as Joe mentioned in our opening comments, adding Brian McCann to your lineup deepens the starting eight considerably today.
For the Cubs today, right-hander Matt Garza making his 23rd start on the year. He's 5-9 with a 3.81 ERA. A lot of strikeouts, not many walks, but for all the talk we do over the course of the season of a staff having that one guy that needs to sue for lack of support, here's your guy. He's don't let that record fool you. They've only scored 8 runs for him in his last 9 starts.
And that's part of his 4 keys to pitching success today. How about a little support, fellas? Give him a few runs to work with. And when in doubt, fastball. This guy's got a good live arm, good fastball, and when he gets in trouble, that's pretty much where he goes. He resorts to the fastball. It's his best pitch. Came over from Tampa Bay, and a pretty big deal in the offseason. Cubs gave up some pretty good prospects for him.
So Garza now the de facto ace of this Chicago staff now that Zambrano's gone. And he will face Michael Bourne to start the Atlanta first. The other scouting report we got on Matt is he is a very deliberate worker.
Real persnickety when it comes to making sure he feels just right before he throws every pitch.
Cubs had another guy like that a few short years ago. Remember Steve Traxel?
Let's hope it's not that bad.
Yeah, don't tell Trax that he works slow. That was a surefire way to get him going.
Is that right?
Yeah, he didn't buy into all that. He'd be the first to say, "Oh, my average games are only
yeah, only a month."
But he was the only guy in baseball history with a sundial endorsement. 2 balls and a strike. Broken bat. Bourne, a base hit.
And it was a fastball riding up and in on him, and he fought it off.
But just enough of it to loop it over the second baseman for a base hit. Now the cat and mouse game begins.
This is the fun part about the additions of Bourne and Constanza and what it does to the defense.
Martin Prado, the batter. Big hole right side. Bourne a good lead. And Michael Bourne, the subject of our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard.
Leading the National League in stolen bases by a pretty good margin over Jose Reyes, who's on the disabled list for the Mets. Matt Kemp having a great year for the Dodgers. If there's one guy that's had to make some adjustments with the addition of Michael Bourne, it's Martin, who's going to be 9 out of 10 times batting second behind him, and give him a chance to steal, try to hit behind him, which he's very good at doing, but being able to work the count a little bit to give him a chance to run.
Just missed low. 1-2.
That's a good point, Joe. I think that's something that a lot of gets overlooked and a lot of second place hitters maybe not be comfortable with, because when you have a guy like Michael Bourne over there, you have to have something worked out between the two of you where you're going to give him an opportunity to steal a base, whether it's 1 or 2 pitches, but you might find yourself in an 0-2 hole real quick by doing that.
Didn't mean to swing. And Garza throws it into center field. Hurd drops the ball, but no further advance. There's a break.
We got that on the scouting report too, Chip, that he does not field his position very well. And for a guy like, let's say, Constanza, who likes to bunt, or Bourne, who likes to bunt, not a bad idea to maybe test him. Well, he's tested here, and he's not within 20 feet of the bag.
You can see with the slow roller coming back to him, he got his feet a little bit tangled up on the transition. And as a result, his front side flew open a little bit. And it's tough to have your front side going in one direction, and you're trying to throw the ball back in the other. And you're right, Joe. He wasn't within the same area code for that throw.
Nice cheer for Brian McCann, who's back in the lineup for the first time since that 19-inning marathon against the Pirates.
Took a lot out of him, I guess, huh?
Sure did.
And here's our quote of the game presented by Geico.
He says, "I'm all right. It's getting better and better. I'm good enough to get in there and play." That doesn't sound like 100% to me, but
no, but you know, that's where those 2 nights in Gwinnett should at least ease his fears a little bit about letting the bat go.
Quickly, 2 balls, no strikes.
Although it seems to me, in the conversations I've had with him since it's happened, it's been more. It hasn't been swinging the bat that's been an issue for him. He said that's felt okay. It's the throwing aspect of it. So we'll see. Hopefully, he won't get tested in that regard today.
It's great to give him an RBI opportunity in this first at bat, back in the lineup too, where he's not, let's say, pressed to get a base hit. He knows he can get that run in with a fly ball.
Interesting for the Cubs. The first inning has been their most productive inning offensively, and their worst inning on the pitching standpoint. They've given up 91 runs in the first inning, which by far is the most runs they've given up in any inning.
Great chance here with nobody out. Ripped and foul.
Well, if you're Garza now, I'm not sure what you do. You try to throw him a pitch away that Brian fought off and hit down the left field line. Then you try to get him off that pitch and come inside, and he rips one down the right field line. So maybe he'll get caught in between and throwing right down the middle.
And 3 real aggressive, hard swings from Brian McCann.
And some different types of swings. If you're thinking about the side, and that he was able to turn on that one he pulled. He had to kind of reach for that off-speed pitch, kind of lunge out there and extend himself, especially with his top hand. Everything looks okay. That's a great sign. First at bat.
That one cut on and missed, and Garza has his first strikeout of the game. And that brings up Dan Uggla. He's the story in baseball so far in August, a 33-game hit streak.
And that's tied for the 5th longest in baseball history by a right-handed hitter since 1900. Tied with a guy named Hal Chase and a guy named Rogers Hornsby.
I know that Hornsby guy. I heard of him.
I think Hal Chase might be in the Hall of Fame too.
Well, just goes to show. I mean, that's why you hear all these cliches in baseball. You know, what have you done for me lately, and all those things. I mean, this guy, what a difference a month has made for him. Boy, oh boy.
His batting average up about 50 points since July 5th during this 33-game streak. 49 hits in that stretch. 15 home runs, 32 RBIs, and 29 runs scored. Broken bat. Soriano in left. Coming on. Gets there. Runner tags. Throw to the plate. Late. 1-0 Atlanta.
That was a good play by Soriano, but I mean, what would have happened to the Braves prior to the acquisition of Bourne or the call-up of Constanza? They don't have anybody else that could have scored on this.
No, maybe Martin if he was over there at third base. But you're right. Soriano didn't get a great jump on it, but he used his speed and closed the gap on it. And once you're having to make a catch like that in full running motion, it's tough to get much on the throw. But Braves out in front early.
And when they score first, they usually win. The Braves 48-12 when they score the first run in a game. Now Freddie Freeman bats with 2 out. And as Tom mentioned, the Cubs give up another first inning run.
Pretty good breaking ball there. Took enough off. I mean, he's throwing in the low 90s, and that breaking ball at 77. Good off-speed pitch.
You know, you go back to Ugla for a minute. You know, and think and realize that over this course of this hitting streak, he's raised his average by 50 points. Normally, a guy gets in a hitting streak like that, he raises his average by 50 points. He's probably going to be leading the league in hitting.
Yep.
I mean, and you see hitting 230, you're thinking, ooh, but when you realize how far he's come, I mean, it's unbelievable.
There was a point during the streak where, and it still may be in effect, that for a hitting streak of his length, he may have the lowest batting average in history.
I think it was. I think for a guy from where he started in the 170s, I believe that was the lowest for this length of streak.
On a sac fly by Ugla gives Atlanta the lead. Now a 2-2 pitch will come Freddie Freeman's way. Garza's the real deal, folks. He was the #1 pitching prospect years ago with the Minnesota Twins. He was then traded to the Tampa Bay Rays. Now traded to the Chicago Cubs.
15-game winner last year.
And there's that fastball that he goes to when in trouble. And he has his second strikeout of the ball game. Braves strike first. An Ugla sac fly gives Atlanta a 1-0 lead. Should say 1-0 is your score as we head to the second inning. And welcome upstairs Chip Carey, Joe Simpson, Tom Glavine, and Braves Hall of Famer Dale Murphy. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's been a great weekend. See some guys, and it's been a sad weekend, of course, as we know about Ernie Johnson Sr. And so it's been a mix of emotions, but it's been a weekend that's been fun. It's been a great time to see you guys and to honor Bobby like we did. I thought it went really well, and it's just an honor to have played for him.
Marlon Byrd's the batter. Let's talk about Bobby Cox. Would Dale Murphy be in the Braves Hall of Fame were it not for Bobby Cox?
I wouldn't be in the big leagues at all. My story is typical of a lot of guys. He had some patience early in my career and gave me a chance to play. And, catching wasn't working too good. He moved me to first base, and I always say I led the league in errors. I think I did. At least seemed like it. And then that winter of 79-80, he called me up and said, we're thinking about the outfield. And, he showed a lot of confidence in me. And then actually in spring training traded Jeff Burrows to make room for me. And Jeff was a former either batting champion or MVP in Texas. So, I mean, he saw something in me I'm not sure I saw in myself. And I think that's what the experience of a lot of guys, that when they were struggling, he showed some confidence and gave him an opportunity. I'll be forever grateful for that.
Played through some rough seasons, some seasons there weren't a whole lot of wins at times for the Braves, and started approaching that magical year of '91. Could you see that coming when in the late '80s with these young guys coming up like the guy to your right?
Yeah, well, we saw Glav and Smoltzy, and personally, like I've said, my situation, I thought it was time to move on, and if I'd have seen what I thought was going to happen in a couple of years, obviously I'd have hung around here. But
Marlon Byrd will single to center.
But I saw, like I said, Glav and Smoltzy and some of our good young pitchers. But we were struggling. I was struggling. Defense was struggling a little bit, and some tremendous moves really, Glav, to strengthen our defense, which getting Terry and Belliard and Otis and Sid and really nailed down some defense for those young guys. And but I don't have any regrets, so to speak. I'm leaving here, and I missed out on some great things. But even at that time, I felt it was time to go. But and everybody talks about. I was going to say everybody talks about Bobby's patience and everything with everybody. I think we taught him that patience back when he first started, losing 100 games.
He had no choice, right? Big swing and a miss by Soriano. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's great memories, and I really, people ask me about my thoughts about baseball, and just being able to play for Bobby. Like I think it was Glav who said the other day, everybody says he's the best to play for, and it's the truth. He's the best to play for.
High fly ball to right. Jason Hayward's underneath. And there's your first out.
You had a good day yesterday. What'd you go, 1 for 1?
I forgot how long did it take me to run around the bases?
They had a sundial.
They said you were a touch faster than Huddy when he hit his home run.
Dang. Oh, look at that. I'm not even going to look at that. Oh my gosh. Glad don't look at that. That's going to happen in about 20 years.
And Smoltzy wanted to go over the fence and take that one back, don't you?
Yes, I know. Smoltzy, yeah. I moved that fence. So I could get out there, and then it ended up backfiring on us.
Yeah, Smoltzy went back there and got one.
I think Charlie Liebrandt was pitching, and I told him thanks for taking the arc out of it. He threw me a nice flat one, but man, no one saw that little replay there, did they?
No.
No one.
No, that was just us.
Just a million of your closest friends.
That was just right here in the booth. We're the only ones who got to see that.
That was bad. No, it was a lot of fun, though. It was so great to see the guys.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Tommy and Greg and John were asked by Don Sutton during the banquet if they ever felt Bobby's wrath, if they'd ever gotten on his bad side for anything, and they said they'd worked hard trying not to. How about you? I mean, you never got in trouble, did you?
Well, no, I was one of those fortunate guys that tried to follow Bobby's 3 rules: be on time. That was a little tough for me sometimes, Kyle, wasn't it?
Well, you had so many kids at home, Murph. I mean, it's hard to get out of the house.
I was changing diapers before BT. I struggled to get here on time, but I was one of the fortunate guys. I think early, I think Glav said he kind of mellowed in some things. I think early on in his career, he crossed him, Bobby let you know. But you follow those 3 rules: be on time, play hard, and wear your uniform right, and he'll respect you. And no, I was lucky. Like I said, he saw something in me that I wasn't sure was there, and I'm so grateful for the chance to get out there and play and get a spot on the team.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Tyler Colvin. Braves leading 1-0. And Peña misses down and in, evens up the count at 2-2.
I don't know how much baseball you get to watch these days, Dale, but Braves got a really fast center fielder from Houston, of course, and Michael Bourne. But when you do get to watch, do you pay attention to the center fielders? And if so, who are some of your favorites? Who do you like?
Well, I think first of all about Michael, I think it's just a fantastic pickup for the Braves. This ballpark, we're just right across the street from Fulton County Stadium, but this ballpark, it's a lot more legitimate home run. And so I think a lot of our teams in the early 80s were built more around power, which you build it around your ballpark. This ballpark here, you need a combination of some power and some speed. And so I was really excited about the pickup of getting Michael Bourne. As far as the center fielder, other center fielders right now, I don't know. You'd have to throw some names by me. Like I said, I'm trying to. Who's considered right now the best in the National League? Is Kemp a center fielder?
He is. Yep.
Well, I like him.
Shane Victorino for the Phillies.
Yeah, I like him. I love Kemp. I love the way he plays. I just noticed he's second. Is he second or third in the league in stolen bases?
Yeah, he's got 30.
Yeah. And so I think I think this combination of getting more speed back in the game is a good thing. I think the game is. We went through that whole home run, steroid, whatever you want to call it, era, where everybody thought home runs were such a big deal, and it's still going to be your guys are going to hit some home runs, but to see more speed, you got better defense, it's just a better game, and so it's great to see that trend going the other way.
Fly ball to right center. Jason Hayward's got it. Dale Murphy, always great to see you. Welcome back to Atlanta.
It's always great to be back. Thanks, guys.
One of the great people.
Thanks, Joe.
And a Braves Hall of Famer, Dale Murphy, our guest
guys.
in Atlanta. It's a 1-0 Braves lead. Second inning, and we welcome you back to Sunday Braves on Fox Sports South. And it's brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. Peña versus Garza. But I tell you what, anytime you have a chance to have Dale Murphy in the booth to talk about Braves baseball, the good old days, it's worth the price of admission.
I'll tell you what, he was a huge influence on me in my career. I mean, when I first got here in 87 and then 88, 89, I mean, we were losing 100 games a year, not very good. And literally there was 6,000, 8,000 people in the ballpark, and they were all there to see Dale. That was the only reason anybody came to a Braves game at that point in time. And
from the standpoint of how you carry yourself as a player, how you treat fans, how you treat people outside the ballpark, boy, I'll tell you what, he was as good as it got. I remember one time we were in St. Louis, and we used to stay at a hotel closer to the ballpark, so you could see the ballpark. I remember one day looking out my window, and there was just this ruckus of people walking across the street, and there was Murph right in the middle of them, just signing autographs, walking to the ballpark. And there had to be 150 people around him, and it was just like, yeah, give me, sign. I mean, he was just a class guy. But he had good perception. He was right. 35 errors in 2 years, 209 games at first base, 68 errors, and 1,800 games in center field. So I think Bobby made the right move there.
That was a good move. Jason Hayward bats. Murph was, at that time, maybe the biggest center fielder in baseball, 6'5", 215 pounds. And that move did surprise a lot of people that he wasn't a corner guy, but went and played center field for the Braves. Of course, the rest history. Back-to-back MVP years.
Yeah, I wish that history included a spot in Cooperstown. I think he's deserving.
Yeah, I agree. I wish he'd get there. But yeah, I mean, he could cover some ground out there, and tell you what, he was one of the few guys in that point in time where he could hit the ball out of the ballpark anywhere.
Jason just missed. And drives that one a mile high and right. And that's out number one. Beginning Monday, join us here at Turner Field for a rematch of last year's NLDS matchup. The Braves host the world champion San Francisco Giants. Good tickets available for that series. Get them at Braves.com/tickets today.
Giants suddenly 2 games back of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who follow the Giants in here.
And Carlos Beltran's hurting, fellas. Bad wrist. And that wrist is really giving him problems swinging the bat from the left side for Bruce Bochy's ball club. And Joe mentioned a stat the other day, Tommy, that's astounding. The Giants' last 21 homers have all been solos.
Well, yeah, it's tough to score runs when that's happening. But look, I mean, obviously they rely heavily on their rotation, and that carried them last year and through the postseason. And it's no different this year. But look, I mean, when they snuck up on some people a little bit last year. They're not sneaking up on anybody this year. So they don't have the element of surprise. And then when you have a tough time scoring runs night in and night out, it's a tough way to go out there all the time.
And some of that magic was sparked by Buster Posey, and they don't have him either.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big loss to their lineup.
I'm sure they were looking for Beltran to be a little bit of a shot in the arm, and he may be before it's all over. So.
Yeah, the Giants dead last in the National League in runs scored. 16th out of 16 teams, 14th in batting average, but not surprisingly second in ERA.
Cody Ross hit a 2-run homer today in the 3rd inning, so they've snapped
the streak.
He heard us talking.
Alex had the tower buzzed. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ramirez couldn't handle cleanly. Infield hit.
Tommy Hanson to the disabled list today for the Braves. He last pitched 8 days ago against the Mets, so he's already well halfway to a 15-day disabled list already, and has some shoulder issues that still haven't responded yet to that cortisone shot he got. But I don't see that. I mean, the rest part of it, Tommy, this time of year, I don't see that as a bad thing. I don't want him to be hurt, certainly, but.
No, I mean, look, there's some guys that were notorious for doing that.
Deep short. Nobody's getting that ball cleanly. Gonzalez and Constanza with back-to-back infield hits.
There are guys that were notorious for doing that at some point during the year. Roger Clemens comes to mind. He, a lot of times you'd find him on a DL somewhere late June, early August, and it was more of a recharge the battery than there was something wrong. And look, nobody ever wants to do it, and I know Tommy's going out of his mind with boredom right now because he's on the DL and he can't do the things that he wants to do. But, yeah, the backside of that, the upside of that is, you recharge those batteries and get a little rest for a couple of weeks. It can do wonders for you in September and October.
Peña will try to help himself.
Same thing could be said for Jair Jurgens, who rested a tender knee, a sore knee, but he's back in the plans for the rotation. Will come off the disabled list and pitch Wednesday against the Giants.
And in talking to him a little bit too, I mean, that's, there's going to be some adjustments for him there too. I mean, he's, that knee's barking on him a little bit. It's going to continue barking on him until he can get it fixed, but he's going to have to change some things. I know talking to him 2 days ago and, his wanting to know about, changing his program and not running and this and that. And sometimes that's a hard thing mentally for guys to have to do. When you have to start changing your routine and your program and you start taking maybe some running out of the equation, you kind of get that sense that you're going to the mound ill-prepared. But most important thing is getting out there on that mound. You don't need to be running.
Peña takes a third strike. Didn't offer to bunt on the second pitch from Garza, and then took strike 3 for the second out of the inning.
Well, I knew that was going to be a tough sacrifice situation right there. You got Peña bearing down your throat on the first base side, and with Garza throwing as hard as he does, that's a tough pitch to bunt down that third base line in this situation, and didn't turn out so well.
Wonder if he missed a sign on the second pitch.
Or the last pitch, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like Freddie's talking to him about that.
Braves do not have on their press notes an announced starter for Tuesday, but Randall Delgado would be the man who would be in turn coming up from Gwinnett if that's the decision that the Braves make for that second series game with the Giants. And Bourne delivers a single up the middle. Bird's going to throw toward third. Constanza in a rundown. And Ramirez hits him with the throw. All hands are safe.
That was some smart and heads-up base running by Jose Constanza. Not getting in a rundown, but in the process not running into an out. Marlon Bird's throw was going to third. Now there's the outside chance he might have gotten tagged out at third base before Gonzalez scored. So he smartly stopped, got in the rundown to make sure the run scored, and then took one on the back for the throw too.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that throw was not really even close to where it should have been going. Because initially I thought, well, maybe he was in the baseline and trying to make that happen, but he had plenty of room to make the throw to the shortstop, but he pulled it and hit him right square in the back.
Single RBI, E5, allowing Constanza to reach third, and that allows Prado to hit with runners at the corners, and the Braves up 2-0.
And we're only in the second inning, and Michael Bourne already has 2 hits, a run scored, and an RBI.
Speed, speed, and more speed.
It's like we talked about the day they made the trade. Like we talked about here with Murph. You're trying to do things that suit your ballpark, but also suit your team's need. And I felt all along that was the Braves' biggest deficiency, was their lack of speed and being able to manufacture runs. And with these 2 guys in the lineup now, boy, has that changed.
Smoked, and that's past Ramirez. 3-0. The Cubs defense giving the Braves extra outs, and Atlanta is taking full advantage.
Base hit. That ate him up.
Ate him up. And he's going to be happy to get off that infield when this inning is over.
Yeah.
And if you're Matt Garza, you got to be thinking, boy, you guys can't score any runs for me, and now I can't get anybody to make a play behind me.
And now Brian McCann bats. Strike 1 to the Braves catcher. And if you missed it, Brian McCann activated obviously today. Scott Linebrink activated from the disabled list. Tommy Hansen to the 15-day DL. And Anthony Varvaro sent down to Gwinnett. Some real good work out of the Braves bullpen. Heads up.
Batting gloves, pine tar, stick them, and it's still not enough. Hopefully everybody's okay.
That bat was dangerously close to ending the hitting streak, too. That flew right over Uggla's head.
Freddie Freeman about took him out in Florida the other day. You know how close you are in the on-deck circle there, and Freddie hit one right past Dan. They barely had time to react on.
Beyond the Cubs dugout. Still a 1-2 pitch coming to Brian McCann. Behind the plate. Soto is there, and that will retire the side. But death by 1,000 cuts for Matt Garza in the second inning. 2 runs, 4 hits, a Chicago error, and Atlanta extends its lead to 3-0 after 2. Part by Sherwin-Williams, by the Georgia Lottery, and by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Good start for the Braves, who lead by 3 entering inning number 3 this afternoon. Brandon Beachy's first look at the Chicago Cubs going well so far, and now he'll face his mound opponent, Matt Garza, who leads things off for Mike Quaddy's club.
Always a bonus there. Get a little stake to an early lead and then have the pitcher lead off the 3rd inning after you just got some runs.
And for all the good work that Garza does on the mound, can't say the same at the plate. Garza, a lifelong American League player before coming to Chicago this season. This year with the Cubs, 3 hits in 44 at-bats and 28 strikeouts. Make it 29. And the 4th for Peña. Base is empty, top of the order, and time for the AT&T Reverse Trivia question. Tommy, we're hot. Don't mess it up for us.
Oh, it's going to be my fault.
Of course.
Pretty much.
Castro leads the National League with 157 hits. Name the last shortstop to lead the National League in hits.
Don Kessinger. I'm surprised you even knew who that was, Chip. But thank you for that remark, for that look I got.
Former Cub, you know.
Yep.
The last shortstop could be Hanley Ramirez. Won the batting title a couple of years ago.
It could be. Could be just about anybody, but it's only going to be one guy.
Well, yeah.
Could be Rafael Belliard.
Could be, but it's probably not.
We told you Castro on pace for 212 hits this year. Juan Pierre's the last Cub to have 200 hits or more in a season. And this kid has been a bright spot in what has been an otherwise very disappointing year on Chicago's north side. Popped up foul.
That's a good hat.
To third. And a good stretch. 2 outs. And here's Barney. Barney singled in the first. 1 of 2 Chicago hits so far today.
We're talking about the lack of run support for Garza. Well, it's not like Beachy's been getting a ton of runs this year either. He's second lowest on the team, averaging only 2.4 runs per game while he's in the ball game. Only Derek Lowe's numbers are lower.
Base is clear for Barney. Darwin played college ball at Oregon State, the College World Series winning team at Oregon State. Beachy quickly ahead.
I think that's why baseball's so special in terms of championships. In that you think about the Little League World Series, those guys play and play and play and play and really have a long tournament to try to win the Little League World Championship. College baseball, long season, a lot of different layers of playoffs and regionals, and the World Series in professional baseball. It's just so special in terms of how long it takes to get there and what it takes to get through the playoffs at the end.
It definitely is a war of attrition. There's no question about that. And as we've talked about so many times, in those series, anything can happen. So usually the team that emerges victorious has earned it.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, the good news for the Braves, this is game number 121. 41 left after today. And they have a healthy lead in the wild card. They're still within reasonable distance of the Phillies with a hot streak. As Barney hits one high in the air down the left field line. And just shy of the fence, Constanza brings it in. The wind knocked that down. That happens a lot at Wrigley Field. It happened here at Turner. And the Braves lead by 3 with Dan Uggla looking to extend his hitting streak when we return.
But just behind Justin there is some of the family of our outstanding low first camera operator Wayne Berry, his brother and sister, big Braves fans of course from Tennessee.
And they like popcorn too.
See that?
Dan Uggla goes to work in the Braves' third. A sac fly to left drove in the game's first run. And not surprisingly, Dan's the subject of our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot.
Among second basemen, just a couple behind Castillo and Utley. Anytime you tie Rogers Hornsby, that's a good thing. Doesn't matter what it is. Chipper said to me 6 weeks ago, at least that long ago, he said, he'd shake his head talking about Uggla, and he goes, somebody's going to pay. I'm telling you, somebody's going to pay. Yep. Talking about his struggles and how he would be bouncing back.
Well, it's, I mean, look, you hear this again so often. Well, the numbers on the back of your card don't lie. And Freddie kept saying, I'm not panicked. It's going to come. It's going to come. Dan kept saying the same. Everybody was saying the right things, doing the right things. I don't think anybody in their wildest imagination thought it was going to get this hot. Right. But I think before the end of the year was over, everybody was fairly comfortable that his numbers would settle in where they should be. But this has been a lot of fun.
Popped up. Carlos Peña at first base. And there's out number 1 in the third. Uggla 0 for 1 with a sac fly today. And now Freddie Freeman bats.
I know that if you've got a hitting streak working and you walk 4 times, the streak is still intact. Is it still intact if, say, you walked 3 times and had a sacrifice fly since you did not have an official at bat? Does that count? I'm guessing that would snap the streak.
I'm guessing it would too.
Because you produced a run. We'll look it up.
Strike 1 to Freddie Freeman.
I wasn't aware that if you walked 4 times.
Yeah, that's okay.
Huh.
That's no official at bats. But I'm not sure about if there was sacrifice bunt or a sacrifice fly. I'm not sure about that.
Seems awfully strange watching a Cubs player pitching with the number 17. That was Mark Grace's number. Keep waiting for him to have a first baseman's mitt on. Want to move around a couple letters and change out 2. For Garza instead of Grace. 1 and 2. Giants are in town tomorrow. They're beating the Marlins today 4-1. That game's in the 6th inning. Joe mentioned Cody Ross hit a home run for San Francisco
against his old team.
Marlins made some surprising moves after the ball game last night too. They released Wes Helms and Logan Morrison was sent to AAA.
I'm just shocked by that. There has to be some disciplinarian reason for that. He hadn't been tearing it up, but he was still productive. Had that cut on his knee that slowed him down a little bit.
It's been a strange year down there in Florida.
They had Chris Coughlin, you recall, unproductive playing center field, was sent down to the minor leagues, but then mentioned his knee was bothering him, went to the DL. Now he's healthy and playing at AAA too. So some of the young players with the Marlins maybe not seeing eye to eye with the front office. That's not real good news for them, is it?
I wouldn't think so. When you're building your team around that going into a new ballpark.
3 balls, 2 strikes. And he got him on the inner half. Freeman struck out twice, 4 in total for Garza, and 2 are out in the 3rd inning. While you're watching today's game, head over to our website at foxsportssouth.com. Click on Game Connect. It's the best way to follow along with our broadcast. With streaming stats for you to track live, it'll put the current pitcher and batter head-to-head, plus connect it all up to your social media. Check out Game Connect at foxsportssouth.com. Jason bounces the first pitch out to second, and that'll send this game to the 4th inning. Still a 3-0 lead for Atlanta, trying to win the series from Matt Garza and the Cubs. Consecutive men with the lead as Ramirez, Peña, and Bird are coming up. As part of our Fox Sports Supports charitable initiative, we're proud to wear these pins during our 2011 MLB on Fox Sports South season to support Stand Up to Cancer and their work to fund groundbreaking research that helps accelerate treatment to patients. For more information, please visit standuptocancer.org/Fox Sports.
First pitch, hacking away.
Pop fly foul by Ramirez, who's down 0-2. Cubs media guide says, fellas, he signed through the end of this year with a mutual option for next year.
What happens on that, Tom? If one side says no, is that?
If one side says no, I think it's
got to be consensus.
Yeah.
So that would mean, if true, Ramirez would be a free agent at the end of the season. The Pirates traded Ramirez to the Cubs in 2003. In fact, Chicago was here in Atlanta when that trade was announced. Kenny Lofton came over in that deal, and that was one that cemented the Cubs' playoff run. It ended with the infamous series with the Marlins, the Steve Bartman game, and all that at Wrigley Field in Chicago. This guy's been a real productive player for him.
Very. And if he doesn't come back, it certainly free up some payroll. Depending on what Jim Hendry and the club has in mind for the next couple of years and how they want to proceed, if they want to develop from within or have at least a couple of veterans to build around, work around. Soriano's signed for the next 40 years, isn't he?
Until the rapture, it seems. As Ramirez guides one through the whole left side, and he leads off the fourth with a single. You think about all the players the Cubs have had in their history. Only 3 third basemen have ever had a 100 RBI season in the history of the Cubs. Ramirez is one of them, Andy Pafko and Ron Santo.
Wow. That's impressive.
He's done it 4 times since coming over from the Pirates while wearing a Cubs uniform. Here's Peña. Carlos has 22 homers, didn't hit one until the 26th game of the season for Chicago this year.
Back to Ramirez real quick. Just as we saw in that last swing of his, he has a unique ability, and there aren't that many guys that can do it, but even when he's fooled, he gets the barrel of the bat to the ball, and the ball jumps off his bat. And he was fooled and kind of one-handed this, but the ball shot through the infield, and that pitch was up and away from him. Rarely see him get jammed. He'll get the sweet spot to the baseball a lot.
Some clubs who called the Cubs about Ramirez's availability at the trading deadline, but he had a no trade and said, no, I want to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
And whether he does after this season is another big decision for Jim Hendry, the Cubs GM. Ball foul, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That kind of surprises me when I hear a guy say, no, I want to stay here on a club that's not going anywhere. And I appreciate the fact that he's got some loyalty to the club, and he's certainly got good teammates that he likes and wants to stick around. But he's no spring chicken anymore either. And on top of that, the fact that he has a no-trade clause, he would have the ability to pick and choose where he went. So if it was a ball club that was definitely contending, that was attractive to him, he'd still be able to put his stamp of approval on it.
Yeah, a lot of times rather than just outright refusing to even entertain that, a lot of times the club will come to a guy like that and say, hey, here's 2 or 3 teams that are interested. Are you interested in any one of these teams? And then you go from there rather than just flatly, not even getting into the conversation. I won't even consider it, no matter who it is. But didn't Freddie McGriff go through that a few years ago?
With the Cubs.
With the Cubs, right?
Oh, yeah. Tampa Bay had him, and he waited a month before agreeing to waive that no trade before coming to Chicago.
It's tough. I mean, it's. I understand what you're saying, Joe, and I see it from that standpoint as well. You'd think, wow, man, a guy this stage of his career, get a chance to go somewhere and maybe win. But, the flip side of that is, and I know in Freddie's case, you don't know what's going on at home. And if you've got kids at home and they're comfortable and they're in school and they're this and they're that, sometimes that's a tough thing to break away from, even for a great opportunity.
And we knew about the fact that Freddie was from that area, so that would certainly be part of the consideration. And you're right. I don't know if for Ramirez, if he has relocated to Chicago on a permanent basis, and that would be a factor.
Let's see how the Cubs play it here. A man that strikes out a lot in the batter's box. And a 3-2 pitch. Runner holds, and it's skied to right center. Michael on the track. Good running catch. Ramirez back to first, and 1 man out. Next weekend, the Diamondbacks are in town, August 19th, 20th, and 21st. 3 very important games coming up with the front-running Arizona Ball Club out in the National League West. Get your tickets online at Braves.com or by phone at 800-745-3000. Here's the West up to the minute.
Outside of the Pirates, the Diamondbacks have to be the surprise of the league, don't they?
I would think so, yeah. And even now, with the Pirates kind of falling on hard times, I think Arizona's kind of solidified that.
We saw Arizona early in the year. They were 5 games under 500 in mid-May when we saw them. They were 18-23. And they won 2 one-run games against Atlanta out in the desert. One of them an 11-inning ball game. The other one a tough 2-1 decision won by Josh Colmenter, who at that point was undefeated for the Arizona team.
A lot of credit, and I think rightfully so, has been placed upon their manager, Kirk Gibson, and his coaching staff, who he has surrounded himself with former players, all successful, and even a former manager in Don Baylor that we're familiar with. But crediting those guys with kind of changing the whole attitude of that team, making them a little tougher in their mindset.
Yeah, the way one of their scouts told me when we were in New York, said, you've got Don Baylor, you've got Matt Williams, you've got Alan Trammell, you've got Kirk Gibson. If you fail, there's no one to go cry to. There's no room for excuses. You find a way to get it done. Great homestand continues today. 4 with the Giants, then Arizona, and then we hit the road again. We go to Chicago to play the Cubs, and then back in New York at Citi Field to face the Mets. Bird takes the ball to right field with 1 out. Ramirez stops at second. 2 aboard for Soriano.
This is a very flat-footed swing here from Marlin. Just kind of standing there, didn't even really use his hips, just his hands to get the bat out.
Yeah, it was almost like he was looking in and had to protect away. Just kind of threw his hands at it.
And now Soriano hits. And its contract doesn't run 40 more years, but it does run 3 more.
Okay.
After this season.
I misread that.
Yeah. He's 35 years old. Originally signed by the Yankees. And while from a speed standpoint, he's a shadow of his former self. Remember, this was a 30-30, 40-40 guy with Washington. Great hitter with Texas and the Yankees. He's had leg and quadriceps problems pretty much since the day he put on a Cub uniform.
He's one of the few guys these days that bats with a closed stance too. It's a wide stance and has a high leg kick with that front leg, but not too many guys will show you their number in their stance. Good pitch. Right where Brian McCann wanted it.
Yeah, that's where you got to go with him, is up and in on his hands. But boy, if you miss, he's going to make you pay for it.
He went. Soriano down on a check swing.
Good call by Mark Carlson.
Good pitch right there after going up and in on the hands. Attacking him down and away out of the strike zone.
Now Tyler Colvin, the batter. Colvin struck out his first time up. Colvin was a high draft pick by Chicago a few short years ago, and I don't know, Joe, that they really know quite what they have yet in this young corner outfielder.
I just remember when Lou Piniella took over the Cubs and this guy was climbing the ladder. He really liked him and was trying to figure out how to find a place on the team for him without kind of spoiling his progress as a hitter. Had put up some good numbers in their minor league system and was the 13th overall draft in 2006.
One main problem was they had too many outfielders with big contracts. Driven toward right. Jason on the run. Dives and comes up cleanly. What a play. Jason Hayward takes away a hit from Tyler Colvin and keeps the shutout bid intact in the middle of the fourth inning. Why? Look at Jason Hayward's effort a moment ago.
That's just pretty.
It is pretty. It's beautiful from a starting or the pitcher standpoint when you're the last out of the inning and guys are running on contact and you're thinking, oh no, oh thank you. But you know, hey, look, you look at that Braves outfield right now, especially today. Constanza and Bourne and Jason out there. I mean, there's three guys that can go get some balls. And again, as a pitcher, you love knowing that maybe if you make a mistake, those guys are going to make up for it for you.
So how many times do you see it, guys? If a fellow makes a great play in the field, he bats ninth the next inning.
Never. He always leads off, doesn't he? Isn't that the way he's supposed to go?
Well, if he does, he's batting out of turn.
That's right. Here's Alex to start things off. An infield hit and scored the second Braves run.
If he bats this inning, it'll be a good thing.
Yes, it will.
Ball, one strike. Bad weather in the Northeast today. The Rays and Yankees were rained out. And the Phillies were also postponed by bad weather. Pop up, shallow right. Colvin comes on. And he hangs in there, and that's 5 straight retired by Matt Garza. 1 out in the Braves' 4th. Braves Baseball on Sports South is brought to you by Miller High Life. This summer, find out how giving back bottle caps can give returning vets a piece of the high life. Go to MillerHighLife.com for details.
Really, since that hard hit ball by Prado that drove in a run in the second inning, he's not really given up anything sharply hit.
That's why you look at his record and how's this guy 5-9?
Most people that follow the Cubs will tell you he's been their most consistent and their best pitcher. We talked about his lack of run support. There's something else that goes with that. And that is 6 times this year he left the game with the lead and got a no decision. So the bullpen hasn't done him any favors either.
Play, no balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to deal with too when you're a new acquisition like that. You know, you kind of have that mindset of, well, okay, what's going to go wrong today? What could possibly happen today? And then you kind of take the mound trying not to lose. You know, you're kind of in that defensive mode of where you're trying to pitch, like I say, not to make mistakes, not to have bad things happen. And the next thing you know, you get out of that realm of being on the attack and going out there trying to win ball games.
Well, he's got a good arm. He's been around 95 a lot of the day.
One ball, 2 strikes. Jose. Need 4 in this league.
I was just about to say that was really a good at bat. That was even better than I thought when he was going to first.
There we go.
That's worth a shot. It's happened before.
Yeah, it worked earlier this year in a game that was decided by a player who wasn't supposed to.
Now you can go. There we go. That's great.
Good for Eric Cooper. He's got a little sense of humor, too.
And Cooper looked down at Jeff Kellogg, and now he's talking to Soto. What in the world's going on down there?
Rookies, probably what he said.
Exactly.
Means you might have missed a sign in the second inning. He struck out in a bunt situation.
This is one of those situations, too, where with Costanza as fast as he is, I'd almost say, you know what, let him steal a base, and then let's just see if Brandon can drive him in with a base hit.
Fake bunt.
Yeah.
That's hard on a catcher when you have the bat out there and then pull it back.
Runner goes. The pitch punted through. The Soto throw is off target. There we go.
Good call, Tommy. Good crossover step, head down. Throw was a little bit high. Already 4 stolen bases for Jose.
Cooper flinched. He balked.
Yeah,
yes, he did. Costanza's going to try to steal third. And the throw, not in time. Peña strikes out. Bourne hits with a runner at third and 2 down.
Well, that was a good throw by Soto and a great play by Ramirez.
He got the back leg and not the front leg.
Yeah, throw beat him. He didn't get it. He didn't get it down on his foot.
That's a hard play for third baseman, boy, to try to beat the runner over there and catch the ball and make the tag all at the same time.
Now Ramirez creeps in at third with Bourne up. No, he's a threat to lay down a bunt. And here's another example, fellas, where the threat of speed can dramatically change the outcome of an inning.
Putting a lot of pressure on your third baseman right now. You're putting a lot of pressure on your catcher.
And whether a catcher will ever admit it or not, it's definitely going to affect his decisions on what pitches to call, too. Reluctant to call anything that might bounce in the dirt.
Another broken bat. Little flare. Barney out. Can't get there. It's 4-0 Atlanta. Talk about manufacturing a run.
Michael Bourne's now a 40-40 guy. He's got 40 RBIs and 43 stolen bases, and he's had himself quite a day already. He's 3 for 3, and we're only in the 4th inning. And now he'll be running. You know what I like about this inning, Tom, is that we've talked about this quite a bit in the past, but when you get to postseason and you're running up against such good pitching, there are some things about your offense that if you've relied on power hitting and home runs most of the year, sometimes that just doesn't work. Good pitching against that power hitting, sometimes the pitching wins out. So this is an inning where as John Smoltz used to say, even a walk is a rally in the postseason. And that's exactly what happened here, and something that if the Braves make the postseason is something to look forward to.
Absolutely. I mean, you're very seldom are you, if you're a team that just pounds people into submission during the year, are you going to be able to continue that in the postseason, like you said, with all the good pitching you're facing. So that element of speed is big. It's a big deal in the postseason, and again, that's something that for a lot of years, the Braves organization hasn't been a part of the game, hasn't been a part of their offense.
Right.
There's a strike. 2-1 the count to Martin Prado. He's 1 for 2 today. A second inning single. Prado, Jose Constanza, and extended the Braves lead to 3-0. It's now 4-0 here in the fourth. Pitch a strike. Throw to second. Short hops. Pops into shallow right. Bourne's at third base.
This error will be charged to Soto because the throw got away, and it was a short hop. But if you're that infielder taking that throw, you got to do everything you can to keep that from happening. You got to throw your body in front of it and block it.
So another Cubs error. Let's see if the Braves can cash this one in. Fly ball center. And Marlon Byrd camps out. Single runs in the first and fourth, 2 in the second for Atlanta. And it's a 4-0 lead as we head to the fifth. That's brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers, with the Oracle of Oklahoma, the Brainiac from Billerica. Here's truly Chip Carey from Turner Field.
But the Sage of St. Louis.
Well, that's probably a stretch, but I appreciate the sentiments.
Oh, and what'd you say from Billerica?
Brainiac.
That wasn't a stretch.
Come on now.
Well, you're only here once a week. We got to pile on.
I'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No balls and a strike to Soto.
Get your rest.
Soto's a former Rookie of the Year for the Cubs. And 0 for 1 in the game today. Peña pitched a good game. He struck out 5 men. Averaging over 9 strikeouts per 9 innings, the same as Matt Garza. We figured we'd see our fair share of strikeouts today, and that's been the case.
Well, Brandon came into the game second in the league, or second in baseball actually, among all rookies in strikeouts. Only Michael Pineda of the Mariners had struck out more. Brandon has 110 now. Pineda 137. But remember, Brandon missed some time too. Irwin Williams painting the corners. Yeah, nipped the corner, I'd say.
I'd say so too. Maybe a seam or two that rubbed that outside corner.
That one caught the corner, and Soto will turn left. He's the 6th strikeout victim of the game. When Peña has his fastball command, he's awfully impressive.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just makes it so tough. He can command it in and out, up and down. I mean, he does a good job of using all 4 quadrants in terms of in and out and up and down, and then you mix that slider in, and it's tough for a hitter to give up on anything. As a hitter, if you can eliminate a pitch or you can eliminate a quadrant of the plate or the strike zone, then your success rate goes way up. But when he's commanding that fastball, you can't do it.
Garza takes a strike. 1-1 the count to the Cubs pitcher. Seven strikeouts and quickly 2 down.
With regard to that one that should have been a strike or wasn't called a strike, I was at the plate one day and took a pitch like that and it looked pretty good, but I took it. Al Clark, the old umpire, called it a ball, and the catcher complained, said, "Oh, that looked pretty good to me." And he goes, "Yeah, it was pretty good." I said, "Did you miss it?" And he said, "Let's just put it this way, Joe. I'd swing at it next time."
Here's Castro. That bat shatters.
Right off the cupped end of the bat that split it.
Well, they found most of the pieces, but not all of it. Freeman gives chase, and into the seats foul. Peña just struck out the side. 8 strikeouts in this game. On the Cubs in Game 3 of this series, leading 4-0 as they come up for their half of inning number 5. Brandon Beachy has been terrific, and so has Starlin Castro, the National League hits leader, with 157. Our AT&T Uverse trivia question asks, name the last shortstop to lead the league in hits.
You know, I was joking when I said Don Kessinger, but I'm going to stick with the Cubs, and I'm going to go even farther back, and I'm going to say Ernie Banks.
I'm with you, Mr. Cub.
Mark Grudzielanek had 200 hits, but
I guess I went too far.
Yes.
Just too many to pick from.
When we last saw the Mets, Reyes was the leader in hits, but he's hurt.
Yeah, I thought about him right away, but I didn't think he led the league in hits.
Me neither.
Brian McCann back.
It was an outstanding question to stump us, as hot as we've been.
And ball one from Garza. Good to see Brian back in the lineup. Braves were 10-6 in his absence. Great job done by David Ross and J.C. Boscan behind the plate.
Excellent work by those two.
And here's Garza, middle of the ball game. No run support. Cubs have scored 9 runs in his last 8 starts while he's been in the game. They have none today. You mentioned, Tommy, every year there's that one guy, and he's the man with the bullseye on his back.
He is, and today has certainly followed the script.
3 Cub errors behind him haven't helped either. And he had one of them in the first inning. Remember, Martin Prado had a comebacker. He was trying to start a double play, threw the ball into right center field.
Yeah, it's one thing to get a comebacker and throw it into center field, but when you throw it into right center, you know you were a little off the mark.
Peña gives ground, and he will take it to the bag himself. One away in the Braves' 5th. Baseball legend and Hall of Famer Lou Brock will be at Turner Field this Wednesday from 5:15 to 6:15 on August 17th, signing autographs and meeting fans. How about that? Get your tickets now for Wednesday's game. The Giants are in town. For tickets, visit Braves.com or call 800-745-3000. Lou Brock, one of the game's great base stealers and leadoff men. Starred for so many years with the Cardinals. People forget, though, Lou Brock was an original Cub.
Traded for Ernie Broglio. Was that the deal? Straight up?
1963 or 4. As Ugla pops one up in a shallow right. Long run, Barney and Colvin. What a catch! The wind had hold of that ball and was carrying it toward the line, and Barney made a terrific diving grab for out number 2.
And this crowd is booing him like crazy.
Yeah, normally they give a play like that a nice ovation, but in this circumstance, that's a heck of a play. I'll tell you, about 6 or 7 steps into it, he was looking at the right fielder like, please, I don't think I've got a chance to get this ball, and he stayed with it, made a heck of a play.
What a catch.
So Ugla 0 for 2 today with a sac fly. His hit streak at 33 still. And here's Freddie Freeman. And he hits a blooper behind the second base bag that Castro will catch. And Garza has a much needed 1-2-3 bottom half of the 5th inning. Darwin Barney robs Dan Ugla, and he'll start the Cubs' 6th. by Geico, by Toyota, and by Georgia Power. No I love yous for Barney and the Chicago Cubs after that great catch to rob Dan Uggla. He'll start the 6th. Peña struck out the side in the 5th. Brandon has struck out 4 of the last 5 hitters he's seen and has 8 so far today.
See, Barney's following the script. He made a great play, and now he's leading off.
Knows how the game's played.
Exactly. So somebody's got to talk to Jason about that.
I think this is a little more like Barney Fife policing the right field area.
Low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Hot day here in Atlanta. Peña at 94 pitches. High pitch count expected with all those strikeouts. And Barney singles to right. His 2nd hit of the game. Joe, you had an amazing stat in this series, which is tied a game apiece. Braves have not had many easy innings against the Cubs in the first 2.5 games.
They've only had 4, I think now 5 after the striking out the side in the 5th inning. Only 5 innings in this series in which the Cubs have not gotten a hit.
Well, this is getting into that area we talked a little bit about in the open.
Yep.
3rd time through the lineup, 6th inning.
And on the next pitch, Ramirez singles to right. Barney around 2nd will make it to 3rd easily. And now Chicago threatening 1st and 3rd with nobody out.
And I'm a little surprised by that pitch selection right there. We've talked about Ramirez's willingness to jump on the first pitch. I'm sure these guys know about it. With a runner on, I'm surprised to see him attack him with a fastball right there. That's that situation where I've talked about before, where there are just certain guys that once they get in that batter's box, don't even look at the scoreboard. It's an 0-2 count, and you got to get in the attack mode right away.
And that's also true for Carlos Peña. You guys mentioned Ramirez with 10 first pitch homers this year. Peña's got 8 of them, and he's due next as the bullpen starts to work for Peña and the Braves at the 96 pitch mark.
And you just saw Scott Linebrink joining George Sherrill, and if you just joined us, Linebrink was activated along with Brian McCann today. Tommy Hansen placed on the disabled list, and Anthony Barbaro sent back to option back to Gwinnett.
And Anthony has nothing about which to be disappointed. He did a heck of a job.
He's got a good arm. We'll see him again.
Peña has struck out. He has flied to center. Neither club has distinguished itself with runners in scoring position in this series. The Cubs are just 6 for 27 with runners at 2nd or 3rd so far. And Peña aggressive on the first pitch.
Yeah, speaking of following the script.
He went.
Pitch to it. That might have been a little bit up for his liking on that off-speed pitch, but it worked. Had Peña out on his front foot.
Peña, an interesting story. He's been with a lot of different organizations. Was originally a first-round pick of Texas, was traded to Oakland, was traded to Detroit, was released by the Tigers. Yankees signed him, released out of their minor leagues, then went to Tampa Bay as a minor league free agent in 2007 and hit 46 home runs that year.
Those other organizations must have known what they were doing. Clearly, the Tampa Bay figure something out.
.100 pitches for Brandon on a hot day. Let's see if he can get Peña and then see if he's left in there to pitch to Bird. This guy's got 120 strikeouts now, and that's 20 more than anyone else on their team.
But he does walk a time or two.
No, which is surprising. The walk numbers and the strikeout numbers for a guy who swings at the first pitch as much as he does. Surprised he gets in deep into the count enough to strike out so much.
Timeout granted late. High fly to left. Constanza back. Edge of the track. Runner at third will tag Barney. He will come home and score on a sac fly. The wind's not blowing. That's in the seats.
That's two of them like that today. That have been held up right on the warning track to left field.
And that will be the last batter Peña faces today. He will go 5 innings and a third. 1 run in charged to the Braves starter. 8 strikeouts today. Peña in line to win his 6th game. Braves 4, Cubs 1. Back to Turner Field in a moment. Have more strikeouts than hits allowed. That's the case for the young right-hander. And he'll give way to a fresh arm out of the Braves bullpen. Scott Linebrink will answer the AT&T call with 1 on, 1 in, and 1 out in the Cubs' 6th.
He was placed on the disabled list with a strained lower back, but I think he bounced back from that pretty fast. So he should, like you said, be fresh, chip, and ready to go. He last pitched actually on the 29th of July against Florida, and he was pitching really well out of the pen prior to the injury.
And he'll face Marlon Byrd, who's got a couple of hits today. And 4 for the series. Happy homecoming for Marlon. Sprayberry High School. And Tommy, as we've mentioned a couple of times, you notice that flap on the left side of the batting helmet for Marlon Byrd. A horrific injury in May during interleague play. He was hit with a pitched ball in the face. very fortunate to have been able to come back from that and still perform at a terrific level for Chicago.
Yeah, not only has he, like you say, not only has he come back, but he's come back and playing at a high level, playing good baseball. He's hitting the ball well, playing a good center field for these guys. And boy, tell you what, you never know how a guy's going to react when he gets hit in the face like that. And some guys psychologically don't ever come back from it, but he seems to have been able to get over whatever jitters.
And it's not just hitters that have that problem sometimes too. As a pitcher, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, I never, thank God, never had to have that happen to me, but I've seen it happen to plenty of people. But you're absolutely right. You see guys that get a little bit gun shy when they let go of that ball, and you know, sometimes they're getting in defense mode before they ever let go of the pitch.
No, your problem was always taxi cabs.
Exactly.
That front seat that was moving a lot faster than you thought it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Fortunately, yeah, I got line drives everywhere from the chest down, but never the chest up, thankfully.
That's good.
Ooh. As we speak of it.
Sorry, Scott, didn't mean to write the script. That was a bullet back through the box. And runners at first and second for Chicago, and here's Soriano. He's got a chance to tie the game.
Tried to go fastball in and didn't get it in there.
Here's Soriano. This guy's had some big games at Turner Field. Let's hope this isn't one of them. Braves have held him in check today. He's 0 for 2. Good stop on a short hop for Brian McCann.
Eight homers, 18 RBIs in 23 games. That's pretty salty in this ballpark.
Line toward left. Constanza plays the hop perfectly. And the bags are full for Chicago in the 6th. So Scott Linebrink's greeted with 2 singles. And here's Tyler Colvin.
Freddie had George Sherrill loosening up earlier. Let's see if he goes to him here with the lefty. Looks like George on the right there is ready to go if needed.
But he's going to stay with Linebrink. And Colvin in the box. Tyler is 0 for 2. Hayward robbed him with a diving catch last time up. And he swings aggressively. Strike 1. Base hit to right. That scores Ramirez. Hayward's going to throw through to third. A 2-run scoring hit for Tyler Colvin, and that makes it a 1-run game.
Got his hands in on another fastball in. And Brendan Beachy has seen this before at last start, leaving with a 3-0 lead, and a John Buck homer took the decision away from him on a home run off of Anthony Barbaro.
Braves still lead, but it's now a 4-3 game. 3 straight Cubs hits, and now Giovanni Soto, the catcher, is up. He does not run well if he can get the ball on the ground. Might get a double play. And now Freddie Gonzalez is going to go get Scott Linebrink, who failed to retire a batter.
Well, we assume he had.
Well, usually when Freddie comes out, yeah, maybe not. Let's see. Vizcaíno got up a moment ago. You've got Matt Garza, the pitcher, waiting on deck. And Freddie is going to make the change. 4-3 game. In this inning, and they've trimmed the Braves lead to 1, and another AT&T call to the bullpen is answered, this time from young right-hander Arodys Vizcaíno.
He makes his 3rd appearance. Pitched against the Cubs here Friday night, went 2 innings, allowing 1 hit, no runs, no walks, had a strikeout. And his games combined between Lynchburg and A-ball, Mississippi in AA, and Gwinnett in AAA. 26 games, 17 of those were starts. He was 5-5 with a 3.06 ERA and right at a strikeout per inning pitched. He throws hard and has a hard breaking ball.
Again, the catcher up. Tying run 90 feet away. Tyler Colvin at first after a big run scoring hit. Cubs are a club that hit into a lot of double plays. They've hit 92 of them this year. Soto's done it 10 times.
Well, they certainly would love that here. Worst case scenario, though, they'll take the strikeout and see whether or not they force the Cubs' hands with Garza.
Popped up. Beyond the dugout foul, and 2 strikes to Soto.
I like what Brian did here with this sequence. Runners in scoring position, young guy on the mound. Hitters are generally more aggressive. They're thinking, okay, young guy on the mound, I'm looking dead red first pitch, and started him with a slider, got that swing and a miss, and then went right in on his hands with that hard fastball. So they can do pretty much whatever they want right here.
Strike 3 call. Looking for the express, got the local, and 2 down.
Wasn't a great pitch, Tommy. Hanger up there a little bit, but it found the zone. That's all that mattered there.
But the key there, I think, is the pitch before it, the hard fastball in on his hands, that curveball, even though it hung a little bit and it was a little bit more of the play. It started kind of in the same place that fastball started, and it forced Soto to flinch a little bit, and that's all he needed.
I don't think the Braves mind this trade. You get Garza out of the game, but you do have to face Blake DeWitt with runners at the corners and 2 out. DeWitt's had a good year off the bench, 10 for 47 with a homer. That one pops away from McCann, and Soriano scores standing up. 4-4. And Colvin moves to second.
Got to glove that ball.
Yeah, and I'm sure Brian will tell you the same thing. I'm sure there's nobody kicking themselves more than he is right now, but I think that was one of those ones where you kind of get caught in between. You're not sure if it's going to bounce or get there, and just didn't get quite enough on it.
So now DeWitt with a single could put Chicago in front. And they have scored that play, wild pitch. Old comfort for Brian McCann as the Cubs have scored 4 runs in the 6th inning.
Let's go.
He likes to throw that breaking ball down and into lefties, down to their back foot, but he didn't get that one buried in there far enough. And about all he could do with it was pull it foul, but he hit it hard.
Swing and a miss. That one pops away from McCann. And all hands are safe.
There's the hard breaking ball, and that one got Brian Shingard.
So now the lineup flips over to Starlin Castro. The Braves have held him to 0 for 3, but again, he's the hits leader in the league with 157 of them. And 5 in the series. A strikeout and a wild pitch prolongs the inning.
Shame of it all is that he has struck out both batters he was brought in to pitch to. Been tough in this situation. Still got to make a good pitch on him. Been tough to fan. Spoiled a lot of pitches from Peña in the first inning before eventually striking out. Shortens up his swing. He's tough out.
Castro and Reed Johnson have been the Cubs' best hitters this year with runners in scoring position. And Starlin has the go-ahead run 90 feet away, but is down 0-2.
Well, he spoiled the fastball away, spoiled the breaking ball right there to probably cut too much of the plate than he wanted. So you got to wonder now with that curveball that bounced for strike 3 and extended the inning, you got to wonder if he's going to be willing to throw that breaking ball in the dirt right here and trust Mac to block it. It's a good pitch to go to, but got to have a lot of confidence in your catcher to make that block.
And he strikes out Castro. Vizcaíno strikes out 3 men and gets credit for 2 outs. No decision for Brandon Peña. Cubs off the deck, score 4 in the 6th. Game tied 4-4. We will say goodbye to the Cubs and welcome the Giants to town. Beginning tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. A 4-game series. They are your pitching matchups. The first 3 games of that set will be seen on Peachtree TV here in Atlanta, Fox Sports South outside the metro Atlanta area. And then Thursdays exclusively on Sports South beginning at 6:30.
Going to have to see Kane, actually Sanchez, Kane, and Lincecum in a row. All tough and all beginning to come around, especially Lincecum, who had a bit of a rough start.
So new pitcher on for the Cubs. It's John Grabo. And he'll face Jason Hayward to start things off. Cubs have 3 tough lefties in their bullpen. Grabo the first, Marshall the second, Russell the third. Carlos Marmol is their closer. We have not seen Kerry Wood in this series. He is back with Chicago and is in their bullpen. Jason fights one off and drives one to right center field for a single.
It's a good start and a good sign, getting the base hit off the left-handed pitcher. Like a cutter that he was trying to work outside and it didn't go away.
Yeah, cutter or slider trying to get it outside and started it inside and stayed in there.
Alex Gonzalez bats with a man aboard. 4-4 game. And strike one high. Braves have been susceptible to left-handed pitching this year. That's why Joe's point's right on target. Good sign for Hayward and Atlanta that he gets a hit off Gravo.
That may be why Alex is still hacking away here and not bunting with another lefty on deck.
Braves as a team hitting .225 against left-handed pitching. Hayward's running. He got a good jump. The throw, not nearly in time. Man, big strides for Jason Hayward, and the Braves are running fools in this game.
Fourth stolen base of the day for the Braves. He went on his first move. And for Jason Hayward, his 6th swipe of the year.
Remember the first couple of months of the season, fellas, when the Braves were stuck in the low teens in steals? That's a foul ball. 2-2 the count. I'd say that's changed.
Yes, it has.
In a big way.
Good idea there by Alex to try to get him to third base. He just couldn't get the ball down in fair territory.
Foul to the right side. We'll do it again. 2-2.
Gravo's kind of a finesse guy. 49 innings, 56 hits, and a .281 average against him, and only 30 strikeouts. So he's a guy who wants you to put it in play. He's going to be around the plate. He'd like you to hit a ground ball for him most of the time. But because of that, I wouldn't expect him to pitch inside a whole lot to Alex here, and he might get a pitch he can hit to the right side and get him over. Setting up in, though.
And it's a cue shot. And it'll work to perfection, and a bad throw, even better. The Braves are back in front on the 4th Cub error of the day.
It's not often that you hear in Little League when somebody's having a hard time in the field and the parents are all yelling, "Hit it to the shortstop." Well, today there's guys on the bench yelling, "Hit it back to the mound."
Boy, I'll tell you what, don't be surprised there's going to be a little pitcher's fielding practice coming up here soon.
Now Constanza, he offered at that pitch and is down a strike.
I mean, it just goes to show you, with Garza's playing the first inning, with that play right there, I don't care what level you're playing, when you don't get your feet set underneath you and you try to make a throw, a lot of times bad things are going to happen. Take your time, set your feet. Now, sometimes you can't, and it's a do-or-die play, but in both those throwing errors today, there was plenty of time to set your feet and make a good throw, and they didn't do it.
Braves have scored 3 unearned runs today and lead 5-4. 4 Cub errors.
Well, good teams are going to take advantage of other teams' mistakes, and the Braves certainly have done that today.
There's a bunt. Ramirez. And the sacrifice works. (5-4) the scoring. David Ross had grabbed a bat. Now he will head back to the dugout. And it'll be Brooks Conrad.
Hits as a pinch hitter. 2 of those right-handed, 2 for 9, batting right-handed as a pinch hitter.
Our Delta Airlines on deck batter is Michael Bourne. Most of that damage came while Michael played with the Astros.
3 for 3 today, and add in a stolen base too.
It's interesting that David Ross had grabbed a bat to come out to pinch hit. Atlanta hasn't been able to use their catcher as a pinch hitter much this season, but can now. They're carrying 3 catchers on their active roster. J.C. Boscan still here, along with David Ross, backing up Brian McCann.
Again, here's Grabo going to off-speed stuff, breaking balls, trying to get Conrad to roll over the top of one and hit a ground ball at somebody. He needs a double play. He just hopes it's not hit back to him.
And Brooks is down on strikes. Runner at second, 2 outs now in the top of the order, and here is Bourne. Well, Castro for the Cubs had a 4-hit day yesterday. Let's see if the Braves leadoff man can equal that with a single here. Fouled straight back.
Might have a chance for a 5-hit game if we can get one.
Right.
Popped up. And Barney is under, and he's got it. The Cubs have not fielded the ball well today. 4 errors. And Atlanta takes advantage with the go-ahead run in the home half of the 6th. But a few of them out there for the Braves today, who lead 5-4 after 6. And for the third time today, Freddie Gonzalez makes the AT&T call to the bullpen with Barney, Ramirez, and Peña coming up for the battling Cubbies.
Eric O'Flaherty's out there for his 58th game. He had an odd line in his last outing, and that was 5 days ago on the 9th against Florida. He worked an inning, no hits or runs, but he walked 3 and struck out 2. So he's had plenty of rest, too.
Speaking of odd lines, how many more times do you think you'll see 2/3 of an inning with 3 strikeouts for a pitcher?
Not very often. That was for Vizcaino, and he's in line for the win if the Braves can hold the lead.
Darwin Barney will start things off. 2 more hits for the Cubs' second baseman. Despite committing 4 errors today, the Cubs are only down a run. And not only is the line that Vizcaino pitched hard to do, it's hard to have 4-error games. This is the 4th one for Chicago this year. And a leadoff single for Barney.
On an 0-2 pitch.
Fastball trying to go away and held on a little bit too long and pulled it back over the plate. Definitely not the pitch O'Flaherty was trying to make.
Ramirez, another double play candidate. But you got to get the ball on the ground. 10 double play balls for the Cubs' third baseman.
They finally threw him something off speed on that first pitch.
Popped up. Wendell pushed that toward shortstop. And Alex is there for the first. Sign up today for the 2012 Braves Fantasy Camp. Enjoy a week of baseball at Disney's Wide World of Sports with Braves legends Steve Avery, Javi Lopez, Sid Bream, Otis Nixon, Marquise Grissom, Greg Olson, and others. Lots of non-athletes. Right, Tom? Register today at Braves.com/fantasy camp.
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm just going with your, you know.
I mean, there's a couple pitchers in there, wasn't
Well, I
there?
mentioned Steve. But
Pete Smith, Avery. I mean, the rest of those guys, yeah, forget it. Well, Otis and Grissom are pretty good athletes. Olsen, forget it.
Here's Peña. And Carlos rolls one. Foul at first. That's a foul ball. And strike one to Carlos Peña.
You know, I haven't had a chance to see you guys since Friday and Bobby's Hall of Fame luncheon. Was everything okay Friday night? I mean, you were pretty hard, Joe, on old Chip over here during the luncheon.
Well, we did have to draw a little line of death across the counter here to make sure nobody crossed over.
Yeah. Well,
the eyebrows are still in mourning. That was a great day.
Great
It really was. Fun to watch. Joe did a great job as the MC. I really enjoyed watching you and Greg Maddox and John Smoltz tell your stories about how you got Bobby kicked out of games and lied about the charts. And
that was some fun.
There were 2 things about that banquet that cracked me up and that surprised me a little bit. First of all, Chipper was hilarious.
Chipper was funny, yeah.
And Bobby was hilarious.
Yeah.
And both of those things really got me. Their stories.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that story about him coming out and wanting me to put a guy on with the bases loaded.
I could just see you saying what you said, too.
I mean, clearly his threat to fine us all must have sunk in because I forgot about it.
Now, was steam coming out of your ears when he came out there and made that
No,
suggestion?
you never had steam when Bobby was coming out, but yeah, I was a little taken aback. Because you're just sitting there and you're almost, all right, am I missing something here? It's like, no, there's 3 guys out there.
So what did he say after you said, where would you like me to put him?
He just kind of looked and was like, okay, if I hear anything about this, like you said, you guys are all in trouble.
2 balls, 2 strikes. The other touching part of the ceremonies when number 6 was retired, I'm sure you can relate to. Bobby told us beforehand, I don't know how I'm going to react until I actually see the number up on the wall.
And I totally agree with that. And I was the same way. I mean, people ask you about it. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what emotion. I can tell you something right now, but until I get down there and you see that happen, you don't know what emotions are going to come flooding in. And Bobby had the same reaction.
Bobby said he had done pretty well all day long until that happened. And he said then he was a little tough.
Yeah, when you see that, it just kind of hits you like, wow. I mean, it's not, you're in a place where never in your wildest dreams did you ever expect to be in terms of your baseball career. And you really don't grasp the gravity of it until you see it happen.
2 balls, 2 strikes. High and deep and way out of here. That's why the Cubs got Carlos Peña, and he just turned this game around.
Well, similar to the 2-strike hit pitch he threw on the leadoff base hit. Same thing there, trying to get to that inside corner on the lefty. And pulled it, didn't get it there, and Peña didn't miss it.
I'm wondering if he's a little rusty, Tom. He hadn't been out there in 5 days, and his command's just a little off.
Well, him, and same thing for Linebrink, too. You come off the DL, and you might feel good, but...
Marlon Byrd to short. That's the first home run O'Flaherty's allowed a left-handed hitter this year. And the Cubs, who had their string of 10 games in a row with a homer interrupted last night, they've started another one today.
Not the fact that Eric's been tough on lefties all year long and Peña hasn't hit lefties all year long.
Yeah, hitting 124, worst in the league. So certainly it was a matchup in the Braves' favor, but you can play the matchups all day long and you just don't ever know. You make a bad pitch and all that goes out the window.
So Chicago 6, Braves 5. Atlanta led this game 4-0. Cubs tied it in 6th. Braves took the lead back in the bottom half. Now Peña's 2-run blast makes it a 1-run Cub lead. Two balls, 2 strikes. And O'Flaherty gets Soriano on strikes. But Carlos Peña hit a 2-run homer in the top of the 7th inning to give Chicago a lead at the 7th inning stretch.
He caught it! What a catch by Gant! And the 1-2 pitch. He did it! And the fireworks go off, a strikeout, and Greg Maddox really pitched a beauty here this evening. Driven along the line and left, back toward the wall. It is a home run! It's a home run! Gant just homered off the top of the wall! The Braves win! Ron Gant has done it again!
Wonderful sounds of our dearly departed friend and the patriarch, really, of all that is Braves baseball broadcasting here in Atlanta. Ernie Johnson Sr. passed away a couple of days ago. And fellas, as wonderful as this weekend has been remembering Braves history, it certainly is a bittersweet celebration as our dear friend no longer with us.
Wasn't that a great call on Gant's homer? I mean, he was so genuinely excited every time the Braves did anything good, right, whatever it was. And there were some years where he didn't have a whole lot of good things to talk about, but Ernie always made it interesting. And our friend Jack Kennedy told me a story the other day after Ernie passed that he said about the great humorist, the Southern humorist Louis Grizzard. When he would travel around giving speeches, he said that he always knew he was getting close to Atlanta when he could hear Ernie's voice on the radio, and I thought that was outstanding.
Yeah, I tell you what, for such a special weekend, it was a sad way to end it, but, listening to some of the stuff on the way home, I had no idea how much groundwork he had laid for this Braves broadcasting system and how far-reaching his touch was on all of that. So, that was news to me, but like you said, with Ronnie's call, what made it so great with Ernie was that was kind of back in the day where it was, as a broadcaster, it was okay to be a homer. Mm-hmm. And boy, did he love his Braves. Man, oh man, he loved everything about them. He loved all the guys that went out there every day. And, as a player, we knew it. We knew the excitement that he had and the passion he had for calling games. And we're just unfortunate we didn't get to provide more fun years than we were able to.
Well, you did in 91. That was the breakout year for you. And I told the story in the newspaper the other day that standing in the dugout on that gray workout day before the start of that 91 season, I asked Ernie, what would be a good year? Hey, if this team can finish 500 after that 1990 year.
That was the goal.
They did a whole lot more than that.
We're going to really miss him.
You bet. Jeff Samardzija on to pitch. Reed Johnson takes over in left field for the Cubs as the Braves are down 6-5 and Martin Prado the batter. They have, by the way, the Johnson family has announced funeral arrangements and service arrangements. We'll pass those along to you here in this seventh inning. As the former Notre Dame football star Jeff Samardzija now has an even count.
10 decisions for Samardzija out of the bullpen, 6-4 in 55 games. He can be wild. 40 walks mixed in 65 innings.
To the right side. Barney's got it. And one out. Friends, bring your kids to Turner Field Sunday, August 21st. It's Brian McCann Kids Replica Jersey Day. The first 10,000 kids get a Brian McCann replica jerseys presented by Coca-Cola. For tickets, visit Braves.com/tickets or dial 800-745-3000.
Got a good live arm, Samardzija, but they've had to be very patient with him and his wildness. I don't want to say nursing him along, but kind of trying to be patient with him until he finds himself in terms of his command.
Well,
this pitching thing's still relatively new to him, and I think sometimes because he has name recognition, albeit for another sport, you think he's been around longer than he has, and you're right, he's got electric stuff, but there's certainly a work in progress in terms of trying to harness that and becoming more consistent with it.
Ryan's put some good swings on some pitches today, and that was a concern. Rotational sport with an oblique injury. He's gone the distance behind the plate as well in his first game back. High pop. Castro. And 2 out. Dan Uggla is 0 for 2 with a sac fly. His streak stands at 33 games.
98 on that pitch from Cubs pitcher.
Yeah, I thought maybe Dan would get in the bat, the box this time looking dead red first pitch, but when you get 98 in on your hands, even if you're looking for it, it's still hard to swing at it.
To short. In between hop. Castro got him by a half step. And that retires the side in order in the 7th. Uggla's streak in jeopardy this afternoon. Game in the hands of the Cubs at the moment. 6-5 your score. On 6-5 entering the top of the 8th inning, and the bottom of the Cubs order is due up. Johnny Fenders answers the AT&T call to the bullpen with Colvin, Soto, and red-hot Reed Johnson coming up.
And for Johnny Venters, his first appearance in this series as well. He last pitched on the 10th of August at Florida, a third of an inning. And that third of an inning was a strikeout, and he got a save as a result. We asked this question earlier today. You may have been with us. We were talking about hitting streaks, and can a hitting streak be extended by 4 walks? And the answer is yes. But if you do have a sacrifice fly, that does count as a plate appearance, not necessarily in the stats, but on a hitting streak it does. So if you had 3 walks and a sac fly, your streak would be over.
Well, maybe Dan will get one more shot. The Braves have 6 outs, but he made the last out in the 7th.
Thanks to Laser Baker and Stats Inc. for finding that for us.
Batters, 2 quick strikes before a crowd of 32,011 for the wrap up of the series. Well attended series, special weekend celebrating Braves baseball, and can't wait to see everybody again from the alumni next year. And Colvin had no chance. 3 pitches takes care of him. 13 Cubs have been struck out in this game.
What is that, 130,000 plus that attended this series? 50 the first game, 49 last night. 32 today.
Ball 1 to Giovanni Soto, the Cubs catcher. He is 0 for 3. Giants will be making their way to Atlanta shortly. They just beat the Marlins 5-2. Phillies were rained out. As we mentioned, the Giants 2 behind Arizona in the West. San Francisco, the team hot on the heels of the Braves in the wild card chase. So 4 big games starting here tomorrow.
What happened to the Reds? They'd won 4 in a row and they lost today to San Diego, but they came in to play today 10 games back and under 500.
Soto strikes out for a 3rd time. Here's Reed Johnson.
That hard slider down and in. I'll tell you what, there's 3 swings I think this inning against Vendors, and none of them have been very good.
Yeah, I like Colvin's last swing. He just kind of tucked his bat under his arm like an umbrella and went back to the dugout.
It's kind of the way Tommy made Brian Jordan look yesterday during the softball game.
Oh, really?
Oh.
You know, he went up there. Oh, he's going to pitch me away. I got to stay back, and he still tried to pull the ball. See, it's a hitter's ego. I keep talking about that. I was just happy he didn't hit a line drive back in my forehead. That was all I was worried about.
Ray Johnson's having himself a terrific year, and he's been very, very hot at the plate.
Woo. Hard to catch up with that slider.
Wow. That was electric. Fenner strikes out the side in the 8th inning. And the Braves come up down a run. Bottom of the 8th inning, Cubs 6, Braves 5. Rubber game of this 3-game series. Chicago's won 3 straight series. Braves need to come back with 6 outs to play with to change that for the Chicago Ball Club. Left-hander on for Chicago here in the 8th. And he's the king-size southpaw Sean Marshall on for the 58th time.
He's another guy that throws a lot of strikes, Tommy. He's around the plate.
13 walks, 55 strikeouts. He's going to make you put it in play.
Worked an inning last night. His longest relief outing, 2 innings. He's pretty much their left-handed setup guy for Marmol.
Freddie Freeman's 0 for 3 today. He has struck out a couple of times.
Marshall 6'7", 220. Came up as a starter.
Now 2-2.
That was pretty good patience. That was a good pitch that just broke off the plate, and Freddie laid off to get a full count.
Chopped off the plate. Barney has to wait. Throws and got him by a step.
This guy's turned in some good plays today, but watch what he does on this one. He gets his feet set before he ever catches it. He's already got his foot planted so that when he caught it barehanded, there was no shuffle. It was just a flip into the bag.
Say, for all the bad defense we've seen the Cubs play today, he's made that's the second spectacular play he's made today.
Jason Hayward will be taken down by the Braves, and Chipper Jones will pinch hit for him. Braves have the rally caps on, down a run, 6-5, 8th inning. To celebrate Braves history this weekend, Chipper had a little individual history on Friday night. That 3rd inning 3-run homer, the 1,000th extra base hit of his big league career.
Ball he hit to right field toward the bullpen last night. I thought maybe he'd gotten a hold of it just a little bit off the end of the bat.
Deep short. Castro jumps and got him. Two beautiful defensive plays for the Cubs in this inning.
I thought when he jumped, that was all the time that Chipper was going to need. And while from up here it looked like he was safe, you see there he wasn't. Good call by Mark Carlson.
Yeah, that's the beauty of baseball, like we say. For all the ugliness we've seen today, those are two really good plays right there, back to back.
Wow. Here's Alex Gonzalez. The last Braves hit led off the 6th inning. It's also the last time the Braves scored. 8 straight have been retired by the Chicago bullpen. Alex didn't think he went around, but he's charged a second strike.
He's barking at Eric Cooper because he didn't ask for help. But I think he did go.
I think he did too. I don't think Alex liked that first call, so there's been a little barking going on since that first pitch.
And that'll retire the side. Marshall works a perfect 8. Top of the Cubs order coming up in the 9th inning. Braves down a run. And another AT&T call to the bullpen is made by skipper Freddie Gonzalez. And the man on is Craig Kimbrell.
Craig worked a bunch of days on the last road trip, including a 4 out of 5 day stint. So he's had a little rest. He hasn't pitched since the 9th. Should be good to go. And that last outing was his 36th save at Florida. What's impressed you the most about him?
Just his makeup. You know, I mean, look, he's had a couple of ups and downs here through the course of the year with some blown saves and some things like that, but it seems to me he's never wavered in his approach and his confidence. You know, he still takes the ball and realizes, hey, sometimes you're going to get it done, sometimes you're not. Give me the ball again next chance. And he's been very impressive in that regard.
Top of the order for Chicago, Starlin Castro is 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
He was talk about feeling old. He was in the dugout yesterday during the Legends game. He had a stack of baseball cards. I said, hey, what do you got? He said, oh, I got all these cards from the '91 team my mom sent me to get him signed. I was like, how old were you then? Oh, I was 3. Yeah. I was like, get out of here.
Don't you love it when you get that? I used to watch you when I was a kid.
Yeah. But he was saying, I was, talking to him. He was like, man, I haven't pitched in a while. I said, just enjoy it, because when you get back out there, you're going to get in a run where you're going to be like, goodness gracious, I need a day off. On 2 to Castro. The
Giants here tomorrow night. Chicago flies west to Houston to open up a series with the Astros. Explosive. 5 straight Cubs hitters have struck out in this game. And Darwin Barney will be the batter. As we mentioned, here are the service arrangements for Ernie Johnson Sr. All the events are open to the public. Visitation Monday 3 to 5 and 6 to 8 p.m. at Roswell Funeral Home. The funeral services Tuesday at 11th at St. Jude of the Apostle Catholic Church in Sandy Springs. And I did speak with Ernie Johnson Jr. yesterday, and he asked that we express the family's deep and sincere gratitude for all the wonderful thoughts, prayers, messages, and wonderful memories of their father, Ernie Sr. Play, a ball and 2 strikes to Barney. Another strikeout.
Rising gas right there.
Yeah, it's just a little too quick to be catching up to that.
17 of them so far.
Seventeen strikeouts and they still have 11 hits. They've had their hitting shoes on this series, like I said.
Yeah, and they've got the lead.
Only 6 innings in the series where the Cubs haven't had a hit in an inning. Didn't have one in the 8th. And are 1 out away from not having one in the 9th. Carlos Marmol is the Cubs closer. The Braves are going to have Costanza, probably Hinsky, and then Michael Bourne due up in the bottom of the 9th inning. And as good as Marmol has been, he has had runs where he'll walk the ballpark. Take care of Ramirez and let the bats go to work in the 9th. Chipper at third. Double clutch. And that costs him as Ramirez reaches with 2 out.
Good hustle by Ramirez. He knew he had a chance at a base hit, but if he dogs it at all, he doesn't get it.
Third hit of the day for Ramirez. And now Peña bats. He has the decisive blow in the game so far. A towering home run to right in the Chicago 7th.
It's not just right-handers that get tied up by Craig Kimbrell. That breaking ball can make lefties take some funny swings too. So what do you polish him off with here, Mr. Glavine?
Well, I kind of like that ugly swing he took on that first slider. Took a shot at him with that slider down and in at his back foot. He's going to have to cheat to try and get to the fastball, so you get that ball in off the plate. Not much he's going to be able to do with it.
I still like it.
Yeah, he might be looking for it too, but still, you throw it, get it down in there on his foot. If he does hit it, he's going to hit it off his shin.
Tipped and caught. Kimbrel strikes out the side. And a very interesting bottom of the ninth inning is forthcoming. Plenty of speed and some pop in the middle. Maybe we'll see Eric Hinske in a one-run game. But Chicago has out-hit them 12-7 and leads where it counts 6-5 as we head to the bottom of the ninth inning. The other subplot, Dan Uggla's hitting streak. It's in jeopardy.
He had a sacrifice fly on this one in the first inning. Nice play by Soriano. Come in and make the catch. And a bat that was really not a problem, but the play of the game where Dan's concerned, Barney with that great leaping catch out at second base. So he's up 6th. Got to get him up.
Either that or manufacture a run here somehow and get an extra frame.
There you go.
That's what it takes. The Braves win will take it. Carlos Marmol is a guy who many times will provide an opportunity for you to tie.
Right there, 34 walks. He can be all over the place. But he does throw hard, and he also strikes out a lot of guys, as you see.
Well, when you have a penchant for the walk, and then you've got a leadoff guy right here in Costanza that you don't want to walk, sometimes that desire to not do something takes over.
Strike one from Marmol to Jose Constanza, who scored 2 more runs today. 13 runs scored and 15 played for Constanza. He drives one toward left, and Reed Johnson has it for the first out. And it will be Eric Hinske. Go back for Kimbrel. Ground ball right side. Peña
spins and hits Marmol. 2 out. And now Atlanta down to its final out of the game. It's Michael Bourne, who's 3 for 4. That was only the 5th pitch he's thrown of the inning, and he's got 2 outs.
Sometimes that third one is the hardest one to get.
Hopefully it is today.
I'd like nothing more than to have Bourne over there on first base and have to worry about throwing strikes and controlling the running game.
Oh, might have gotten a gift there. 2-0 breaking ball.
2-0 backdoor breaking ball.
2-1.
I've never seen him throw this many sliders and cutters. Got to throw another one.
And he walks Michael Bourne. That's the tying run. He's aboard with 2 outs.
Is the manager out to talk to him and not the pitching coach.
Well, I'm sure part of this is to calm him down a little bit and not get him ahead of himself trying to get that 3rd out, and remind him that as much as you try to control that running game over there, you make a bad pitch, this game could be over anyway.
Yeah, he looked like he was talking to Soto as much as he was talking to Marmol. It's only the 2nd walk of the game by either side. Or by both sides, I should say.
Last Braves hit was the 6th. Runner goes. Great jump. Soto's throw. Late. Barney thought he got the tag in time. But a second steal for Michael Bourne.
It was close, but this is number 45. And he was definitely in there.
Now it gets a little tougher for Marmol and Carlos Peña out to talk it over. And to get a little rousing too. 2 balls, no strikes. Another breaking ball.
Man, oh man, just one after another. If I'm Martin, I might take a chance here, 3-1, and look for the breaking ball. Sit on it.
You might as well. You have nothing to lose. He throws you a fastball for a strike. You take it. You get another pitch.
Yep.
Had him reaching, popped up near the Cubs dugout. Ramirez is there, and that ends the ball game. Dan Uggla's streak comes to a close as the Chicago Cubs take 2 out of 3 from Atlanta here at Turner Field and win the ball game on a Carlos Peña 2-run homer